Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Why Are We Like This, a Heartstopper podcast. I'm Ashley, she, her.
And I'm Alyssa, she, they. And today we are here with a very special podcast crossover episode. We have with us two very special guests who you may know from the Heartstopper Fan Podcast, Proper Full On Gay Crisis.
I'm David, he, him.
And I'm Kate, she, her.
Yay, hello.
Yay.
Oh,
Hello.
hi.
I'm so excited.
Me too. I feel like we've been messaging about this forever.
It has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've been trying to find a time that works for both time zones since just after season 1, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a long
Some
time.
of that was probably my fault, given that I decided to move 2 states away.
Yeah, how dare you? How rude.
Yeah.
All right. So, for us, we like to start with, how did you find Heartstopper and your, overall feelings on it?
Okay. I suppose, on a macro level, Heartstopper was just, a seminal moment in television. It was just so redefining of the whole genre of queer TV. The sort of the joy of it, and the diverse range of characters that it was covering was just I'd never seen anything like it. And then on a sort of more personal level, it was just so affirming. I feel like I look back now over the last couple of years and just how much I've embraced my sexuality since watching Heartstopper, and that kind of effect that it's had on me and being more open about it and more less shameful about it, I think. And that's all from Heartstopper. And so it's just had such a profound impact. And obviously for us to have gone ahead and made a podcast and to be spending so many hours a week talking about it and thinking about it, it's been quite life-changing, really.
Yeah. I interpreted your question a bit differently. I was about to say how I found it, as in literally how I came across it. So I found it because it just appeared as at the top of Netflix, and it's oh, this show's new and you might like this. And I was looks cute. Might give it a go. Watched the first episode and was that was cute. And I would like to see more. Watched the second one, the third one, the fourth one consecutively whilst bawling my eyes out, and just haven't looked back ever since, really.
Is that actually what your question meant?
Yeah, how'd you come across it? Yeah.
Oh, right. So this could be the first of many misinterpretations between us.
I realize
Yeah, no, I mean, we would say that in the same thing, but yeah, I totally interpreted that as, how did you experience it? How did you?
I mean, I love that too. So give me all of the interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, the overall feelings on the show, that kind of, it covers that part of it. So.
Yeah. I've jumped ahead.
Do you want to tell us how you came across it now, David? And then I'll go back to how I feel about it, because that could take more time.
I can't even remember how I came across it, to be honest. I knew it was coming before it came out and thought, I feel like I need to watch that. I think Google ads pop up, don't they? And it's you might be interested in, or there's this program coming out that celebrates this, that, and the other. And so I was looking out for it when it dropped on Netflix, but kind of without any real expectations. But yeah, it seems so long ago now, I can't really remember. But I'd never heard of the comics or anything. It was, the TV show was my first experience with the Heartstopper world.
Yeah, that was the same as me as well.
So Alyssa, you're the sole comic origin
Yes,
story.
okay. Well, to be fair, it's me.
Alyssa's an English teacher.
I am an English teacher.
Okay.
I majored in English. Just to kind of recap it. So the short version is there's a YouTuber that I absolutely love and I've been watching for 8 years now, Hannah Witten. And she did a favorites video of the comics and said the show is coming out soon. And so I just did a reread of the comics and I was huh. And it kind of just triggered my radar, and I was very busy and depressed at the time, so I didn't actually get into it right away, but on a whim one day, I just like picked up the comics. Like I downloaded the ebook onto my phone and read it in the hair salon waiting room. And that was like right around the time the show came out. And so I binged the entire comic.
Oh, wow.
Everything that had been published. I read freakishly fast, but I did volumes 1 through 4. And then I went to Webtoon and I read the rest of what was published up till that point. And then I went and subscribed to Alice's Patreon so I could see all of the additional pages that had not yet been publicly released.
Wow.
And then I watched the show because I was like, well, what else am I going to do? And then I had a pretty solid kind of rinse and repeat of comics, show, back and forth for a good, like, 2 months.
Wow. That's impressive. Like, how quick do you read?
She reads fast.
Yeah, I read very fast.
I realized that I never said my overall feelings, did I? So obviously I love it enough to have made a podcast about it. So there's that as a starting point. It's so hard to sum up. I think what David said, it just feels like it was kind of a turning point in television history. It was like, I've never seen anything like this before. I think that's why it gave me so many feelings all at once. It was just like the representation we never had growing up, and it was all there and it was all joyful. And I've mentioned a few times on our podcast the feeling of when you're watching a show with queer characters, there's quite often this kill your gaze trope where something bad's going to happen to them. Like, it's going to go wrong at some point. They're going to die, or they're going to break up, or like something awful has to happen at some point. And I found myself the first time I was watching it through literally on the edge of my seat, like waiting, and then just like picking up on these tiny little cues, like when Olivia Colman, I always forget her character name because I just call her Olivia Colman.
Sarah.
Is talking to Nick in the car and is like, Charlie's a really good friend, isn't he? I was anticipating her being like, oh God, you're gay, and like having a really bad reaction to it. And then when Nick does come out to his mum and it's so joyful, it was just such a breath of fresh air that like it can just be joy, and like it can still show the struggles and like the harder parts, but without it having to all go wrong. And there were so many times that I felt like the show kind of caught me in a little hug and was like, oh, this is where it might have gone wrong, but nope, like, we've got you. Like, it's not going to go wrong. You're okay. So that's why I love the show, is just the joy.
Yeah. I kept waiting for the shoe to drop, and it never did.
Exactly.
Especially because, like, Ashley and I met through the Buffy the Vampire Slayer fandom, and there's a lot of conversation about kill your gaze in that. And so, like, coming from that into Heartstopper, it's just like, wait, we can be happy and not good.
What?
This radical idea that we don't have to punish characters.
We don't have to punish anyone. And people can just have kind of normal teenage experiences and just have normal lives without it having to all go like disastrously wrong.
See, I'm really interested, like, as American viewers, because the depiction of like British school life in Heartstopper is quite mundane, I suppose. And so I'm kind of interested, like, culturally, what is the kind of the impact that it's had over there. I know that we've had a lot of people from America who've written into us and sort of said that it's been very hard for them to talk to other people about having watched it. And I get the sense that there are more kind of isolated pockets of fandom. So I'm really interested in kind of your thoughts as Americans viewing this.
Yeah, it's definitely pockets. I don't have any. I mean, I have friends that watched it, but not that love it the way that I do. So I had to take to my national friends to make this podcast. Like, hit Alyssa up on Twitter. I was like, oh. So yeah, it's definitely, and people don't know what it is. Like I go out and they'll like ask me about stickers, or like I have a tattoo and they'll ask me about it. And I'm like, oh, it's Heartstopper. And they're like, what is that? Should I watch it? Well, obviously I should watch it. You got a tattoo. Like, and I'm like, yes, everyone should watch this show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Alyssa, we're in vastly different parts of the US. So
yeah, well, so my experience has radically changed moving from New York City to rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I moved from New York City to a red district in a swing state.
Hey,
fun. So, not for nothing, Ashley, the friends that I had local to me who were into Heartstopper are our internet friends who just so happen to also live in and around New York City. But there weren't really people like outside of our already established circle of queer nerd friends,
right?
Who had really watched it, with the exception of I went to dinner. My husband and I went to dinner with his sister and her husband, and we were just chatting about like, like watch anything cool recently. And before I could bring it up, my sister-in-law goes, "Have you guys watched Heartstopper?" And I was like, have I? I've watched it like 7 times. I've read the comic. And like, not for nothing, my sister-in-law is bisexual and married to a trans man. So like, still within like the queer bubble. But it was the first time that I'd been in a situation where I wasn't the one to bring it up.
So you couldn't have just done what I did then and just wore like a Heartstopper quote on a t-shirt to a public event and just had people come up to you and be like, I love the show. That wouldn't really happen.
Not really, not here at least. Okay, I also realized that I never said how I found it. So
Oh yeah.
So I work on a couple of different podcasts and YouTube shows. And so I was editing an episode, and I believe it was Ryan Houlihan was like waxing poetic about how amazing the representation was and everybody needs to watch it. It had like just come out. I was like, okay, I'll put that on my list, and didn't think about it again for a couple more weeks. And then I was making dinner. I had a lot of editing to get done. So I was like, okay, I clocked out of my day job. I work from home. Grabbed some dinner, and I was like, I got like 30 minutes while I eat. Perfect. I'll watch the pilot of this Heartstopper show. And then I watched
4 hours later,
second episode and third episode, and I did no work that night. And I watched the entire series from beginning to end and was like, this is amazing. I love this so much. And so then I just like started rewatching, like it was just on repeat. I watched it probably like 10 or 11 times.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, this is based off of a comic. Like, obviously, I need to read the source material. So I ordered all the books and waited about 3 days. Shipping was like 9 days or something. 3 days later, I was like, this is taking too long. So I went to Webtoon and I read all of what was on Webtoon. And then I reread all the books when they got delivered. And then I just started like Alyssa said, kind of comic
and repeat
show, and listening to ASMR at night of someone reading the comics. So, yes, Cherii ASMR. I will drop your name every time. It's so good. It's Cherii with 2 eyes.
Cherii with 2 eyes. I am definitely going to look that up.
Yeah, and she reads like chapter by chapter, or and goes through. So I just kind of like made a playlist of all, and I just called it like Heartstopper ASMR. So I just put it on when I sleep, and it just loops.
So you can continue absorbing more Heartstopper.
Exactly.
I mean, it shows, because like from listening to your podcast, like your observations are amazing, both of you. Like some of the things that you pick out are so astute and would just completely pass me by.
Things that we've never even noticed. And I thought we'd watched it a lot.
Some of that, at least for me, is also the 2 years of TV production studying. So.
Yeah, that must help as well. Yeah.
It's the hyperfixation for me. So
whenever I'm talking about media, I say like the first time, like, you do have to acknowledge I'm an ex-film student. So like my brain is wired to look at these specific things.
Yeah. Oh, there's been so many times. You'll be able to really help us today then, probably, because there's been so many times where we've said things like, oh, and the way that this shot is framed is really cool. And if we were film students, we'd probably be able to describe it, but we can't, but it's just good.
So I suppose, is that kind of the angle that you guys come from then? I mean, because in theory, like, our podcasts are quite similar, aren't they? In that we go through the episode kind of beat by beat, and talk about what stood out to us. So what's your kind of angle that you would say that you come in at?
I feel like our entire thing is like from the bisexual perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, being someone who kind of accepted themselves and came out like later, and I was in my like mid to late 20s when I came out. So just like seeing this from a perspective of someone who did not get to experience like a queer youth, you know, so that's definitely like where I'm coming from. But Alyssa does bring in a lot of like movie lingo.
Yeah, I do. The kind of extra stuff that I add is number one, Isaac's book watch. Which is very important, because I will kind of like bring in and like talk about like, here's what Isaac is reading and here's how it relates. And one time I was going back through my notes from our season 1 episodes, sort of in preparation for this, and I remembered, I'd forgotten about this, but I went on a whole rant about how Isaac reminds me of this like very small character in The Great Gatsby. I think I talked about it for like 10 minutes.
A long time.
Like, so that kind of stuff. And then also like filmmaking, like craft stuff. I will also kind of bring it, just because I can't turn that part of my brain off.
Yeah.
I've tried. And also the teacher angle. There are a lot of times where I just go, as an educator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed your latest episode when you were like, as a teacher, you just would not, you would never, what is Mr. Farouk doing?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Thank you. I have a lot of feelings about, not just in this show, just like in general.
And to be fair, we've had quite a lot of questions about some of the school scenes this season, haven't we? And like the supervision, we haven't got there yet, but when they go to Paris with like 2 members of staff, it's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
And then just get told like, just go off
Wander
and we'll
off,
just see you at 5 hours.
Don't get lost.
Yeah.
Like, that would never happen where I'm from.
No. But for, we give them like artistic license.
Yeah, there's like certain things where I'm like, okay, for narrative purposes,
Exactly.
I can suspend my belief and think maybe there's other adults on this trip, but we don't care about them.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But like, that's a generous reading of the text.
Yeah, but you kind of got to suspend disbelief a bit, because otherwise they wouldn't get to like frolic through Paris together. And
Right.
Yeah.
Do we want to just talk about like the school stuff? So I wrote down some school questions.
Oh, go on.
We might as well. We're on it, aren't we? Yeah.
I'm still very confused about form.
Okay. So it's the class where you go first thing in the morning to have the register taken to say, yep, I'm at school, and just kind of get set for the day. Your form tutor will just give you any announcements, like any whole school news type like notices, and then send you off.
So it's definitely homeroom. Okay.
Yeah. And generally speaking, you'd stick with your form for most lessons, I think, unless you were kind of set into ability. But like, certainly from my experience, it was only really like maths and science and English that were split into ability, and everybody else you would stick with your form. So you would kind of travel around with them. And we didn't have mixed year group forms.
Gotcha.
Until we got to 17 and 18. That was the only time we mixed forms.
Okay.
Do you have any other British school related questions that we can?
So many.
I have a list. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go for it.
Okay. So the exam hall 2-week study period for GCSE. What? Is it the full school day, or is it like?
I think in my school it was just the full morning up until lunchtime, and then the afternoon you would have your more kind of like your art, your PE, your non-sitting subjects, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
See, my experience was different to that again.
That's American shows do not accurately represent the American schooling experience either.
Absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
In any kind of storytelling situation, you have to, tweak things in order to like actually tell the story, because that's more important than it being accurate.
Absolutely.
We're just weird nerds who ask all the really deep questions that no one else is asking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My theory around this one is that Heartstopper is representing a very particular slice of English demographic. It's quite middle class, and I suspect that Truham and Higgs are quite good schools in a nice area, and so they are possibly enforcing a stricter type of study period than other schools, and I think it is probably giving a bit of a contrast to the sort of free and liberal ideals of the show. I think it's trying to set those within a more constrained environment to give us a bit more of a contrast. But that's what my feeling is anyway.
That's pretty good theory. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, their uniforms are definitely fancier than ours were.
Yeah, and no one has their shirts untucked. Like, we would be constantly untucking our shirts, and then as soon as we saw a teacher, would like hastily stuff them in and then pull them straight back out. Nobody does that in Heartstopper. They're all beautifully tucked in, and their ties are done up nicely all the time.
Oh, did your school go through a phase? Like, I think with the uniform thing, it makes people really want to try and express their individuality, but like you have to do it through the uniform. So the way people tried to do that in my school was either making their ties kind of ludicrously short so that they only came to here, or ludicrously long so that they were like down to their crotch area, and no one just had a nice normal tie.
I don't think we ever went long. We definitely went short.
Oh yeah. Or with the massive loop at the top as well. Yeah. Tie fashion.
I've never had a uniform for school, so
me neither.
No.
Never ever.
Public school in the US, it varies, because in New York City my students had uniforms, but most schools don't. Like private schools will, and like Catholic school, but just like the standard public schools don't really do uniforms unless there's like, specific exceptions. I know that a lot of urban districts do uniforms. Like the district that I'm in now is also an urban district, and they just did away with them fairly recently. Even then, like a lot of like, if it's like at my old school, it was khaki, black or navy slacks, and a polo shirt in the school's colors, or a school-issued t-shirt. Okay. And we gave out t-shirts for everything, so the kids were in t-shirts, and then they were allowed jeans or sweatpants on Fridays. So, like, even then, it's, like, fairly lax compared to, like, UK uniforms.
Oh, yeah. That's, very different.
Okay, so I have another question.
Okay.
Go on.
About isolation. Is it really isolation if they put more than one person in there?
Again, like, I feel like we had a teacher that would sit in the isolation room. So yeah, you wouldn't be in there totally on your own, but you'd probably have people from different classes that had all been sent to isolation. So you might have 8 or 9 tables in there, but again, individually, separated. So you'd be sat on them working in silence. But I suppose that depends on the school, I think.
Yeah, no, because I had questions. I was like, is Mr. Farouk seriously putting these two unsupervised in isolation? Because that seems like a terrible idea, no matter which way you slice it. Yep. Because option 1 is, you just busted these 2 kids talking. For all you know, they're besties, and you've just put them alone in a room unsupervised. What are you going to do? Talk. Real scenario, these 2 kids hate each other, and it's a miracle that they didn't kill each other in that room.
It could have escalated, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, it's for story purposes. I don't think in any real school you'd be left completely unsupervised with other children with you. I think in our school we just had like one isolation room that was next door to the head teacher's office, so that they could and they had a little window so that they could keep an eye. But I think the dividers between people who had to sit in there would have been much larger. But I never went there because I was too good. I wouldn't know.
Okay, so also prom.
Mm-hmm.
Is this accurate? Would it be later in the summer like that instead of closer to the school year?
Well, we were all kind of confused about the timeline of this school year because they had sports day a while ago, and that's usually like the last thing you do before the summer holidays.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's just for story purposes, like where it fits.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think prom would be at the end of the school term, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think, because we didn't read ahead in the comics at all, because we discovered Heartstopper through the show. So we just watched season 1 and then waited. And because the end of season 1 was sports day, we thought that's the end of the school year.
Yeah,
and that season 2 would be like either starting from the summer holidays or picking up from the beginning of the next school year. And we thought that's how they're going to get rid of Ben and Harry, because they're going to have finished school. But I was wondering how that was going to work, because Nick's also in the year above Charlie, isn't he? So, but it wasn't. They've just swapped the whole school year around and just...
Yeah. Fortunately, it's like eternally sunny in this version of England, except for the day that it snows. But the rest of the time, it's like permanently sunny. Which
and
is
even then, it's very sunny whilst it's still snowing.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Not the horrible grey sludge that we normally get. So, yeah. But, artistic license.
Exactly.
My last question is, have you noticed the way that they tie their shoes, and do you tie your shoes like that?
I
have not noticed the way that they tie their shoes. And is it particularly unusual?
It's strange.
Maybe the fact that we haven't noticed it means that it's normal for us, and that's why we haven't picked up on it. Would you like me to get a shoe to demonstrate how you usually tie a shoe? Because I'm intrigued now. How do they tie it?
I have, I clipped it together. It's on TikTok.
That's amazing.
I'm going to go get a shoe.
I forgot about this, Ashley. I completely forgot about this.
Oh, I did not. I was like, I have to ask them about the shoes.
Maybe we should all just tie one and reveal at the same time.
I can't believe I'm about to tie a shoe. Not having the shoe on my foot. This is bizarre. Okay. Just pretend I'm doing this normally. Make my bunny ears. Loop them over each other. Cool.
No, okay. That's how we tie it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's normal. Okay.
Phew. I thought you were about to blow my mind.
There's so they do one loop and then they pull it around and tuck it in.
Yeah. I do know people who do it like that, but they're weirdos.
Okay, confirmed. I'm putting that on record. Confirmed, these are weirdos.
It's not a normal way to tie a shoe. Oh, maybe he's just tucking it in. It is quite common to, with Converse, tie it and then tuck the laces kind of to the side of the tongue.
I think that what we've kind of just boiled it down to is it's probably some weird continuity filmmaking thing that none of us could even consider. Or for convenience of you have to do this shot 5, 10, 15 times, and this is just easier and faster to do and undo for filming purposes.
Why bother filming it? Why not just not have the shot? I don't know. Yeah,
that's also a very valid point.
Yeah.
I think what we've discovered is that we've all watched this show way too many times. And we're now having a discussion about shoelaces.
Right.
Should we get on to the answers for each other's end of episode questions?
Yeah.
Because I'm intrigued to see how this goes.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear y'all's answers.
So we have 2 features each week, don't we, Kate? Our first one is our Heartstopper moment, and that's where we pick the moment that made our heart jump in our rib cage the most. So most of the time those have been positive moments, but there have been ones that haven't been. So yeah, they can be heart-stopping for a bad reason as well as a good reason, but just that kind of moment that really stays with you, that sort of screenshot moment.
Yes, and we also have our panic line advice section based off of Charlie's phone background, the gay panic line. And that's where we ask listeners to come up with advice that they would like to shout through the screen at the characters during each episode as well. And we do the same.
We've had some quite amusing ones, haven't we?
Yeah.
Some of them are quite serious ones, but yeah, we've had some funny ones as well.
I'm excited. I have notes.
Yeah, my advice is all over the place. So
Name. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So for us, we also have 2 where we do our favorite quote from the episode. And then we have our Heartstopper scale. And it's a scale of 1 to 5 on how hard your heart stopped. But it is only good, not bad. But you can go, the 1 to 5 is very loose. You can go in either direction as far as you want.
I discovered that in the episode I listened to earlier. I think, Alyssa, you might have given something like a 10,000 or...
We set it as a 0 to 5 scale, but we've gone way over. Have we gone negative? We've said other people can go negative, but have we?
I haven't gone negative yet.
I feel like I might have during like Bully or something.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always enough lovely stuff, isn't there, to not quite go negative. But yeah, I have to say, I didn't think I was this person, but like when I started looking at it and there wasn't a defined scale that I could go within, I was like, I have no idea where to pitch this.
That's okay. So our friend TJ gave every episode a 5 out of 5. So
okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's fair.
I have a method that I've gone through, so I might need some help, like putting a numerical number on it. But I will talk you through my thinking as we get there.
Oh God!
Perfect. So, should we start with episode 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so episode 1, season 1, meet.
So, my quote from episode 1, I'm hoping this counts because it was a text quote rather than a spoken quote. But mine was the "Thank you, X." that Charlie texts Nick at the end of the episode.
Aw, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a nice one because that's the first ever message that he sent. Sweet. I went with I was gonna go for the high montage and I thought it's too obvious, so then I went for when Charlie was talking to Tori on the bus about his perfect guy and was saying that he just wanted someone he could have a laugh with and he's nice and kind and just likes being with him. But then ends up saying I'd probably just settle for someone tall.
That's a good one.
Solid choices.
So what was your top moment, your Heartstopper moment from episode 1?
My moment was at the end of the rugby/Dover Beach montage when Charlie finally bests Nick and Nick says, "Well done," and Charlie giggles and Nick gets the leaves and falls in love.
That's nice. Yeah.
I feel like my answer to this question now and my answer to this question when I first started watching would be very different. Because for me now, it's that first shot where the person moves out of the way and Charlie sees Nick for the first time. Yeah. It just gives me all of these feelings. And I know that that's not my holistic overall answer, but now anytime I watch that, I just am
yeah, because you know what's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we've talked as well, haven't we, Kate? Reflecting a week later, it's I wish I'd chosen that because there are just so many, aren't there? And they resonate differently at different times. So yeah, no fixed answer. But
yeah, we've talked a lot about how for us, season 1 made us cry a lot more initially. And season 2 didn't seem to hit as hard. But then since we've been rewatching it, it's made me cry just as much. And I think that's because maybe the first time I was watching it, I had more expectations and was watching to see what would happen instead of just absorbing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So now that we're on our rewatch phase, I can feel my feelings again.
Yeah.
I definitely cried way more with season 2.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
We also knew what was coming because we had read the comics, and so we had the like nervous anticipation,
right,
on all the stuff with Charlie. And I know a lot of the stuff with Charlie hits very close to home for me.
Okay.
And yeah, by the end, like I finished watching it, and I just was like, I think I'm dehydrated because there's no more. What's going on?
I know. I was like, Alice, I'm gonna need you to reimburse me for my like IV therapy. I'm gonna have to get. Because I literally like, and I've obviously just also had season 2 on repeat. I've just now gotten to a point where I've stopped crying watching it. I told my partner, I was like, when is it gonna like get numb? When am I gonna get like be able to watch this without crying? Like
never.
Yeah, I'm still not. For me, it's the Tara and Darcy's kiss in season 1 with Churches playing in the background. I can't listen to Churches Clearest Blue whilst driving anymore because it will make me cry every single time. I have had to pull over whilst driving because it's come on my shuffle on Spotify, and I'll be like, no, not now. Sobbing on the motorway, like. Yeah, it should come with a warning.
It really should.
So did you guys manage to think of any advice for characters from episode 1?
So does it count if it's advice that they follow within the same episode?
Yeah.
Because I have 2, because I have this one is kind of funny, and then I have like a more serious one. But Charlie, dump Ben.
Yeah.
That seems like an obvious one, so I was like, that's a cop out. Let me think. But I actually ended up giving Mr. Ajay some advice.
Oh, okay.
So I said, Charlie is not going to take any of your advice, except that now. Eventually, he will realize you were right, but he is a teenager and will never admit it. I think everything you're saying to him is great, and I agree 100%, but don't take it personally when he doesn't listen to a single thing you say. Also, don't let students have lunch in your classroom. You will never find peace.
That's true. Yeah, that's great. I like that.
I say as the teacher who always lets kids hang out in my room during lunch.
My advice was to Mr. Lang, buckle up, Buttercup, because you have no idea what you've just done.
Yeah. By seeing them next to each other. Yeah. He's responsible for all of this, really. He's the like quiet like hero of the whole series.
It took me a moment to know who you were talking about because we always call him Mr. Exposition because he just always seems to turn up when we need to find out what's been happening. I
love that.
That's awesome. Just like side note, like Nick and Charlie better invite Mr. Lang to their wedding.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Like if you have to, right?
And Mr. Ajayi, and then you have to bring Mr. Farouk,
and you have to have Coach Singh. But like,
Coach Singh, yeah. So Heartstoppometers then.
Oh yes.
Kate, do you have one ready to go?
Yes, I have a sensible and quite like rational 4 out of 5 because. My feeling was when I was watching this episode for the first time, obviously I knew the series was going to be good, but I didn't know how good. I was like, oh, this is a really good series and I want to watch more of it immediately. So yeah, 4 out of 5. Kind of knew it was good, didn't realise how good. That tells you how high my Heartstoppometer is about to go.
Yeah. Okay, so I couldn't put a numerical value on mine because I just couldn't pin it down. So I need some help. So I've like for each episode at the moment, I've done a little heart. Can you see that? And I've like filled it up. So this one's like half full, but is a bit wavy because I was a bit like I was trying to put myself in the shoes of when I first watched it. And so I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. I'm feeling warm feelings. But there's some pretty shaky stuff going on with Ben, and I don't know where this is going to go. So that's why it's a little bit wavy. The ocean is not smooth in this series. So that's where I'm at. So I haven't quite pinned down my scale.
Sounds like a 3.
3.5 maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So episode 2.
Episode 2.
Crush.
my quote straight away fits with the title of the episode, because it was Isaac's like, but I want to believe in romance.
Isaac.
Very good.
When Tao's telling him not to encourage Charlie to have a crush on straight boy. Yeah, because Nick Nelson's
And
so
Toby's
straight.
delivery is so good of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in season 1, he didn't get to speak that much. So it was really nice for him to have that moment.
So mine was from Tori, and it was her saying, "I don't think he's straight," when Nick leaves after the hand crackles and the hug at the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an iconic one.
Mm-hmm.
Just pretty much everything Tori says is iconic, isn't it? Like, she's another one who doesn't say much, but when she does, she always just like sticks it.
Yeah. Knocks it out of the park.
My moment for crush, I am torn between two moments. One is Nick's face when they are sharing the stool and Charlie's like teaching him drumming, and he's like realizing like, oh, you know? So that, like, his facial expressions and stuff get me in that scene. And also the hand crackles, the hand fireworks. Yeah. Those are like one of my favorite parts of the show. That's actually what I ended up getting for my tattoo, is their hands and the crackles. So that's, I got a thigh piece of them
fantastic
doing that. But I put it in a comic panel, and I took Joe and Kit's hands from Friend whenever they're like tapping each other about the birthday party invitation. So it's that shot of Nick like pinky touching Charlie on the desk, and I put the fireworks in with it. So.
Love that.
Oh, that's so cool. Is there a picture of that somewhere on your Instagram? Because I would like to.
I think I put it in the stories, but I'll send a photo over.
Mine, this is not going to surprise Ashley at all. Mine is the snow scene to Dance With Me, because that is like, it's one of my favorite moments of the entire series.
Beautiful.
But like, if I had to pinpoint it down to like a single like shot, it's like when they're like laying down and the camera is like, it's like a bird's eye view in the like animated snow. It gets me. I love it so much.
I love how they like blend the animation in to the real life, and it just shows that it's like this fantasy situation, but it's also real life. But they're also kind of like
in this other world.
Yeah, exactly.
It captures the like magic that you feel in those moments, and like puts it on the screen so you can see it. I love it.
Just I love that. I always refer to it as the Dance With Me scene, because the song, like the music works so well, and I'm like, it feels like snow is falling, but also it feels like that like young like crush, like and definitely. It's just it gets me in a lot of different ways. That scene is really, really well done.
So did you have any panic line advice for the characters in that episode?
Mine was for Tao. I know you're terrified of Charlie ending up in a bad place again at school, but you could not protect him from the world, and he is his own person who can make his own decisions and talk to whoever he wants, and you have to learn to accept that and trust him in his own decisions.
Right.
Excellent advice.
Good. Yeah. I have that advice for him later.
I was about to say, we ended up giving Tao quite a lot of advice in season 1, because he was just he
needed it.
Needed it. Thank you. I'm glad you guys agree.
I feel he was listening in the break between the seasons.
I think he was listening too.
He must have.
Yeah.
So not all of my advice is to teachers. Actually, it's just the first 2 episodes. And this is Ashley's fault, because she suggested I do this. But it's to Miss Greenwood, Elle's form teacher.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's great that you want to check in on your students. However, maybe don't do it so loudly and in front of the entire class. And definitely don't suggest that you could assign another student to look after her. If you're really worried, there are ways that you can do this, like talking to Elle privately and asking her how she's been adjusting, or planning a group activity and assigning Elle to a group with Tara or another student who you think would be welcoming. But don't do this. This is terrible.
Yes, I like the group activity idea. That would be a much more natural way to get her to meet Tara, who you think she's going to get on with, than just like assigning her a friend.
Totally didn't do that last week.
Oh, excellent teacher alert.
It worked.
Hey. Oh, no. Were you sitting behind your desk like, years? It's all coming together.
Teacher instincts for the win. And I did, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, thanks, Heartstopper, for giving me this idea.
Yeah.
So where did y'all fall on the scale for this one?
Do you want me to go first again?
Go on
with
then,
my
yeah.
actual numbers. I gave this one 4 out of 5 as well. Because again, like, this is the one that made me start binge watching. So actually, maybe I should give it like 4.5. But again, it felt like it was just kind of setting the scene. And I was really enjoying it, and it was really good. And it was good enough to make me want to carry on watching the next 4 consecutively. But yeah, it was still kind of just like building up to episode 3, basically.
That's fair. Yeah. So on my filling up the heart, there's like a teeny weeny minuscule slither at the top that hasn't been filled, but I have given it a little trophy because it had my favourite moments from the whole series, which was the hand crackle section. So I suppose that's probably like 4.8. Yeah.
That's the number that came to my mind when you were like a sliver. I'm like, okay, so like 4.8.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a photo of your hearts, though.
I will send them through. Yeah. Okay. So, Kiss.
Oh, this episode. Okay.
So this had our top Heartstopper moment from the whole series, didn't it, Kate?
Ooh.
It did.
It better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I probably swayed that a bit because I was like, this is the bit that made me sob uncontrollably for 3 hours. So we're going to put it at the top of the list. For episode 3, my quote was from Elle, and it was, well, it's not old times anymore.
It's a good one.
Yes.
Okay.
I love the delivery of that one as well.
Yes. I didn't really do it justice, but she absolutely sells it.
Yes.
Mine was, you're just going to assume they're a girl.
Ooh,
because for me, that was the turning point in the conversation that they were having that led up to the kiss. And that must have taken Nick a lot to say it because he was then trying to drive towards the kiss. And so, for me, that was a really pivotal moment.
Okay, so not for nothing, you said that and I got chills, and like that's one of the lines. That's like one of the parts of the show where like even how many times I've watched it, like I still get all like
I think it held my breath at that point.
Yeah. It's like I can't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the first time I watched this through, my wife was away with work, and so I was watching it completely by myself in an empty house, but I was still like audibly going, what? No. What? Oh my God. Like gasping at the screen. And like, well,
yes. I think I was watching it by myself too. And I remember like when Charlie turns and says, and bisexual people exist, I like jumped off of my couch. Like, yes! And I had like no knowledge going in either. So I didn't know that Nick was going to end up being bisexual.
Ah, right.
So like, that's when I was like, oh, they're actually going to have like some bisexual discourse in this. And then I was like, oh
yeah, not just
is the discourse.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, does it so well.
So go on, where did you come down on your moment for this one?
I feel like for this one it's pretty obvious. But yeah, it's actually the second kiss where like Nick grabs Charlie's hand and like they like both go for it. Yeah.
Mine is split again 50-50. I couldn't pick between two moments. So it's the Tara Darcy kiss with Nick like watching and having a full-on revolution. And then also the kiss, like the kiss. So both of those moments make me feel so intensely. And they're both like very iconic like shots. And so I think that those two are equal in my mind for the moment.
And the fact that they're both in one episode is like this show. Like, how?
Yeah.
I feel like this was the episode where like the CW is like the network that does a lot of the like teen melodrama. And I was like, the CW could never.
Yeah.
The CW would never.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't even the series finale. That was like episode 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any
Excellent.
advice then for this episode?
Mm-hmm. Mine is also for Tao again.
Mm-hmm.
He has not even tried to understand why Charlie likes hanging out with Nick, and I think that maybe he should try spending some time with him and getting to know him a little before he blacklists him in his book and decides that he's fully and totally against this person. And so my advice, I guess, is to be a little more open and embrace new people.
Love
That's
it.
excellent advice.
Mine is also for Tao. Change is a good thing. I know you're scared of losing your friends, but I think it's important for you to remember that people grow and change, and that is a good thing. Pushing back and trying to force things to stay the same is only going to hurt you in the long run.
Yeah. Fantastic advice.
I feel like it goes along the lines of what Elle was trying to tell him.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. And you'd think after Tao having just seen how good the change of moving to Higgs was for Elle, that would have made him realize that, like, oh, change can be positive, but it just took him a little longer to get there. It's
Yeah.
Heartstopometer.
Yeah, where'd y'all fall?
100,000 out of 5. I jumped up a little from 4.5. 100,000 out of 5.
That's very accurate for this episode.
Yeah,
I expect nothing less.
And I'm sticking with it. Yeah.
So, yeah, my heart is super full and is shining.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's like 5 plus. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's a big episode. So,
Oh, yeah. Huge.
so shall we go on to Secret then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my quote for this one, and I'm imagining, Kate, that yours will be the same as this because it was the inspiration for our podcast, and it was the line where Nick says, "I'm having a proper full-on gay crisis."
Yes.
Just his face when he says that line,
Oh.
it's just, it's such a good scene.
We spend so much time talking about Kit Connor's face acting.
Yes.
Like, he is
Yes.
just, the king.
Yeah.
of
An
the
Emmy
spectrum.
winner for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was yours the same then, Kate?
Yeah, my quote was obviously the same. Proper full-on gay crisis. Could not. What were your guys' Heartstopper moments for this one?
Mine is the bedroom kiss, specifically when Charlie goes up on his tiptoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know. It always gets me. Every time.
So mine, I went back through my notes to help me remember these. And so I don't fully remember the exact context because a lot of the show blurs together. But this says, my notes are forum classroom. This is like after the conversation in the bedroom. It's like the next school day that we see.
Yeah.
Nick looks so happy to see Charlie. I am not okay. Code Blue, send help. I am unwell. They're so cute and so happy. And so I was like, well, that must be it. And I do remember it.
Picture it. Yeah.
That shot very strongly parallels the shot at the beginning where when they first meet. And so that as well is in there. I thought that my notes there were funny. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah. I do remember that because they're like, at school, let's keep it a secret. And then at school, they're like,
beaming. Yeah.
And then they see each other. It's very obvious.
We've talked many times about the fact that it's, you have to suspend disbelief a bit that no one clocked that they're dating because they do not hide it well.
No.
Oh. Do you have any advice for them in this episode?
So I have advice to Nick in this episode. To open up to Charlie a bit more about your fears. I think it would make both of you feel better if you talked about the struggles you're having and work through it together. And also be honest with Imogen ASAP. I do understand not rejecting her in front of literally all of her friends, but this should have been a tonight conversation, not a tomorrow or Saturday conversation. Should have been rectified that day.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
My advice is for Imogen. And I wrote, from one too much girly to another. Imogen, my sweet baby angel, guard your heart. I know you're dealing with a lot of big feelings and you don't know how to process them yet, but it's important to protect yourself. A lot of what happens can be mitigated by you keeping your feelings a bit closer to the chest. Don't close off completely, but some boundaries will do you very good in the long term.
Yeah.
Because I love her.
Yeah.
And she just everything comes out her mouth, and I'm like, sweet baby, sweet baby, I love you. Like, same, but like, take it from me. It don't work.
You could just see it in her eyes. It's like there's no keeping it in, is there? Just no keeping it in.
Yeah, like, and like, I mean, that also speaks to Rhea Norwood's acting, because it's like bursting out of her all the time, and it's really well done.
Another excellent face actor.
Yeah, they're also good.
They're all great. I mean, Isaac is the best. Because he has so few lines, and his character is such a standout.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right, Heartstopper.
I've gone 10,000 for this one.
Okay.
So it's still like well off the 1 to 5 scale, but it's like 10 times less than the 100,000 of the previous. That was my thinking.
So my heart has kind of filled up to the heart's cleavage, for want of a better word.
I've never heard it called that before,
again,
and I hope I never do again.
You know the bit I mean, though, don't you?
I do know that.
And again, it's a bit kind of wavy because obviously I massively feel for Charlie in this situation, that he's having to keep it a secret and all of those things that they're trying to work through. But yeah, it's definitely still up there. So I'm probably going to go 3.7. 3.7 for that one.
Solid.
Y'all like this episode more than we do.
Yeah. So this is actually our least favorite episode.
Really?
Of season 1.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much rugby.
There is a lot of
okay.
rugby.
Yeah.
So we went a little lower on this one because like obviously the beginning is like but then all the rugby like drags me back down.
Yeah.
I think that's why I gave it the 10,000, because of the Nick in the rain, like the Notting Hill moment, and the proper full-on gay crisis.
It's so good. It's like right up top, but then everything else pulls it down.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So I suppose that brings us on to episode 5. Friend. My quote for this one was Nick to Imogen saying, do you ever feel like, and to be fair, I've skipped a line here, your real personality has been buried inside you for a really long time. That line, it just gets me.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
It is. That's what he should have done straight away.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, when he does eventually talk to her. Yeah.
And we wouldn't have gotten her dog died. Not following.
Yeah. That was very nearly my top quote, but yeah.
Mine was Tao, when him and Charlie are having the discussion in the bathroom, and Charlie's like, oh, I know you're going to murder him, and he's like, oh, I was going to send him a strongly worded DM, but murder's fine too.
Yes. That's such a good quote.
Yeah, I love that.
It's great.
Alyssa, what was your moment?
It's the in front of the arcade, not the claw machine. And when Nick gives the picture frame to Charlie and he opens it and he's like, that was one of my favorite days ever. Yeah. And then I die. And
Yeah. I yet again have 2 that I couldn't pick between. Nick and Imogen in the park. That entire scene is just beautifully shot and so important. And also the claw machine, but their kiss at the claw machine, because it's their first, like, they're in a public space and they kiss for a long time in that one. And so it's just like a turning point for them, right? I feel like so.
Love it. And did you have any advice for that episode?
My advice was for Elle. Lean into your feelings and explore them. And please remember truly how dramatic Tao is. And just like try to let go of what he said about their friendship coming first and that whole bit, because I think that drags her down a lot. And I just want to remind her that he is dramatic AF. So let's keep that in mind and kind of leave some wiggle room in that situation.
Good advice.
Mine is for Tao. Trust your fucking friend. You say you care about Charlie, but you also don't listen to a word that comes out of his mouth. I famously have no patience for Tao in season 1. So I just just you gotta fucking trust him. He's telling you it's not like that. And obviously there's more to the story that he can't tell you right now, but just, he's your friend. Trust him.
Yeah, we were so willing him to like work it out because they weren't hiding it well. Charlie said to him, like, he's not messing me around. Like, if Tao had managed to join the dots and worked out like, oh, are you guys like actually together, then Charlie might have been able to still keep his promise to Nick of not telling anyone, but like still have him know.
For sure.
I have a theory that Tao is autistic.
Okay.
And that might not excuse but contextualize the fact that he hasn't really put 2 and 2 together yet at this point in the series, and it also would explain why he's so resistant to anything at all changing. And his routine with the apple juice. Exactly. The apple juice and like the film night and like so I don't have like the fully worked out like essay on it, but it's something that I've been looking at, and
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Tracks.
There's definitely some traits there that would
Tao and Darcy, those are the ones I'm like autistic coded.
That said, Tao was still the reason that my heart was kind of a third full for this episode. Some nice moments, but just too much of season 1 Tao dragging it down. And again, it's just that sort of middle of season lull, isn't it, where we're kind of trying to set things up. So probably about a 2. I'm gonna go, because episode 1 was 3. I think I'm gonna go maybe 3.2.
Okay.
Yeah, 3.2.
Okay.
It just doesn't quite meet some of the other episodes for me.
No. Okay. Well, since I went 100,000 for episode 3 and 10,000 for episode 4, I just went back down to solid 5.
Reset.
I was like, okay, well, it's not got all the emotional highs, but this is good television right here, so it's still 5 out of 5.
Nice.
Okay. Girl.
Episode 6.
What were your quotes?
Mine was from Tara, and mine was, don't feel you need to come out to anyone until you're ready. I just love that whole exchange between the two of them. And I think Tara is just such the voice of reason in that setting, and her and Nick have such a lovely dynamic between them. So that line stood out to me. Yeah,
sorry, I just chuckled because I just remembered the bit where he asks her like how she knew she was a lesbian, and she was like, oh yeah, kissing you made me realise I not like them at all. And his face where he's like, okay, you're welcome. It's really nice. I really like their friendship. My quote, I went for Olivia Colman, Sarah, asking Nick, do you remember that summer when we had to watch Pirates of the Caribbean like every night because you were in love with Keira Knightley? And him being like, shut up. And then it's like, I suppose it's kind of a quote into a moment where his eyes watching, like flicking between Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, because relatable. I think every bisexual in the world was like, thank you. I felt very seen.
I had a whole diatribe when we got to that about Pirates of the Caribbean bisexuals versus the Mummy bisexuals, and how Eddie, my husband, introduced a secret third option, which is 2002 live action Scooby-Doo bisexuals. That's me. Yeah. And so now I need to inform everybody of this.
It's Daphne and Fred, right? obviously.
But like also like Linda Cardellini as Velma.
Oh, I meant Velma. Sorry.
Yeah, but also like okay, so not for nothing, Sarah Michelle Gellar is Daphne. So
Michelle
like,
Gellar, yeah.
Also not a bad option. But I'm saying all this retrospectively because actually, in whenever that was released, up until watching Heartstopper, I identified as lesbian, and it took watching Heartstopper and kind of seeing that whole storyline about like bisexuals exist to realize that I was bisexual, because when I was in my teens, I dated guys who were kind of feminine, and it was actually my boyfriend when I was 16 who was like, are you dating me because I'm kind of feminine, and do you think you might be a lesbian? And I was like, oh shoot, yeah, I do find girls attractive. Then went on to date only women, ended up marrying my lovely wife, which I'm very grateful for. But then, yeah, literally it was watching this show and replaying those experiences where I was like, oh shoot, I just like both all along.
I love that though. I love that that journey.
Great. I love that so much.
I was really privileged to kind of be listening to you kind of almost have that realization on our podcast and like in front of me. That was a lovely moment to have shared with you, Kate.
Oh, thanks. It was a lovely moment to have. And it just shows again like the impact of this show, because even for me, who already thought I was like quite a out and proud gay woman, it still showed me things about myself that I didn't know. So yeah, just healing the world. One queer at a time.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. So many of like our listeners who've like written in and messaged us, or it's like adults talking about how healing this show has been.
And we've had so many messages from people who are like, you know, grown adults who are just now realizing their queer identities, and
so my moment is actually almost word for word I wrote down almost word for word what you already said about Nick and the Pirates of the Caribbean moment. My note is the Pirates moment, specifically the close up on his eyes looking back and forth, because Nick, same.
Yep. And sorry to bring it back, but that was one of the things, like when I was with my boyfriend when I was 16 and he had that conversation with me of like, I think you might be with me because I'm a bit feminine. He handed me the TV remote and was like, can you flick through the channels and just find a guy that you find attractive? And I was like, Orlando Bloom in Pirates of the Caribbean. And he was like, kind of feminine still though. And I was like, okay, I take your point, but that's just my type. So
listen, it's more masculine than saying Orlando Bloom in Lord of the Rings though.
True.
I've still never watched Lord of the Rings. It is one of the great shames of my life. I know.
Do it. It's worth it.
I do
it's
need
worth
to.
it.
I saw the musical of Lord of the Rings. That was an experience. Yeah.
Didn't know that was a thing.
I bet that was
I felt
great.
like it flopped. It was spectacular, but way too expensive to ever run.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely worth seeing. But anyway, that was a sad point.
Going to be investigating that on the internet later.
What was your moment?
So mine was so they're at Charlie's house and Nick is getting ready to leave, and it's like he like asks Charlie on like a proper date and he leaves, and as soon as the door closes, Charlie does this like excited happy dance, and it's like this moment where I'm just like full to bursting with like love and joy. So yeah, Charlie's little dance.
Oh, brilliant.
Love that. Yeah, so I'm so enjoying this conversation. I'm so grateful that you guys agreed to do this, because when we were doing the first season and we could only pick one moment from each episode, we were killing ourselves. Like, so many. So now getting to hear you guys have two different ones for each episode is just giving me life. Okay, do you have any advice for characters in this episode?
Yes. Yeah. My advice for Tara is to talk to a trusted adult about her struggles as well. I like that she's opening up to Darcy, but Darcy's also a teenager, and what she's feeling is bigger than what a teenager can handle. And so maybe talk to your mom or a therapist about what you're going through.
Solid advice.
My advice is to Tara and Darcy as a combined unit. Meddling is not a great idea. As fun as it seems, especially when your friend has explicitly asked you not to. Because I honestly feel like some of their meddling kind of took Elle kind of several steps back in terms of her like coming to like understand her feelings for Tao and actually act on them. And like, not for nothing, I know we're not talking about season 2 with this, but like that continues into season 2 where Tara's advice kind of doesn't help.
Yeah, I feel like Tao and Elle could have got there much quicker without that little interruption. But I did love that their group chat was called Meddling Gays.
Yeah. And like, not like the payoff in the Louvre is worth it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So worth it.
Yeah.
So where'd we fall on the scale for this one?
It's another solid 5 out of 5 for me. No massive highs, but it's just a great episode all around.
So I've filled my heart up to its cleavage. I've given it some bright sparkles because objectively I really liked this episode. It was just fun, and I loved the atmosphere, and I loved the developing dynamic of the friendship group with the addition of Tara and Darcy. Meddling aside, I like that was kind of becoming a thing. But yeah, I couldn't give it as much as some of the other episodes. So it's probably about 4.3.
Okay.
4.3.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Yeah. So, rocketing towards the end, Bully. I found it really hard to pick a quote for this one, so I just had to go with Char.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
That is a good one. Oh, and the look on Charlie's face. Yeah, I went with OC, Olivia Colman. Charlie's a really good friend, isn't he? Oh, because that was one of those moments, you know, we were talking about the kill you gaze, not being sure where it's going to go. That was one where my heart was in my mouth like, oh no, it's all about to go horribly wrong. But then it did not.
Yeah.
Okay, so my moment for Bully is the full like handhold firework crackles in the movie theater.
Oh yeah.
Mine is actually in the car when Oscar winner Olivia Colman is trying to communicate to, like, when she says Charlie is a really special friend, and like Nick, and also Nellie is like in between his legs, and my note at the end of that, it's like me like writing out the lines of the conversation, and then it's just me sobbing.
Yeah, I was sobbing pretty much continuously from episode 3 onwards throughout.
Yeah.
Heartstopometer wise, I gave episode 7 a -1,000. I believe that's allowed.
Yes.
If I've read the email correctly.
It is allowed.
Yeah. Okay.
Bully's a hard ep.
It is a very hard episode.
Yeah, I've gone low, and there's a sad face in my heart. But there was still enough for me to have a little warmth going on in my chest. So I'm probably going to go 1.8.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going for very specific non-integers. Yeah.
The char of it all pulls me back up. So
yeah, that's true.
Did we do your advice?
No.
Oh.
I have 2. My first one is Harry and Ben, please take a long walk together off a short pier.
That's all we need. Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yep.
And then my actual advice is again to Tao, because I have no patience for him in this episode. Stop making everything about you and talk to your friend. Have a goddamn conversation and listen instead of making snap judgments and refusing to keep an open mind.
Yes. Excellent.
Because the end of that episode and like Tao being like, this is all your it just destroys me, and I'm just like, you know what, Tao, fuck right the fuck off.
Yeah. And he knows, like, of anyone, he knows how easily Charlie takes the blame for everyone else's actions. So it felt like he did that deliberately. He said that deliberately because he knows, like, Charlie's primed to take responsibility. So if I tell him this is all your fault, he's just going to take it. Not great.
Yeah. That ties in with my advice, which is for Charlie. To also perhaps find a therapist to discuss why he blames himself for everything that everyone else does. And then I have like a stream of consciousness that came after. He's done nothing but support Nick through this journey of discovery. And most of Nick's friends do suck. That is a fact. Nick is his own person and can make his own choices. And you need to respect that and trust him. And oh my God, this is sounding very familiar to something I've said to Tao earlier in this note.
Yeah, but they all need to hear it.
Absolutely.
They all need to hear it.
So, the big one, episode 8, boyfriend.
What quotes do you have for us?
Go on, Kate.
I've got a few. So I couldn't choose just one because initially I was just like, obviously, we're boyfriends on the beach. Huge one. Then you've also got Mr. Ajayi's Don't Let Anyone Make You Disappear.
Yes.
Absolutely iconic. But I ended up going with Nick telling Tao you should try rugby because it's good for releasing negative emotion. Just because I love Tao's facial expression, like how completely deadpan he is after that. And how Nick has a little chuckle to himself because he knows he's not going to like take that advice anyway.
Yeah. So good.
It's a nice moment of levity, that, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I went for, you don't get to let me feel like crap anymore just because you hate yourself. Because I was like, that was such a moment of growth for Charlie. I just was like, yeah.
Yes, and the one like little tear that comes out of Ben's eye, and I'm like, yeah, cry.
More.
It does though upset me because I'm like, that was such a good like conclusion to the Ben stuff. I'm like, why did we have to bring him back?
I know. I was just thinking that today when I wrote that. I was like, yeah, why have we done the Ben thing again? Surely we can draw a line under that. But yes. Oh well.
I was very resistant to it, but I was like, if you're gonna bring him back, they did the right thing to make literally everyone, including the teacher, shit on him all season.
Yeah.
It was like, if you're going to bring him back, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And actually, we haven't talked about this on our podcast yet because we were trying not to give spoilers for later episodes. But the moment, no, it's okay. The moment when he goes to the art school, I think that was well done.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Very much.
I thought some of the visual symbolism of that was a little on the nose, but
we've talked a bit about that in season 2. It's a little bit in your face, some of it, isn't it? But yeah. So there were a lot of moments to choose from in episode 8. So what did you pick as your top moment?
So from the moment that Nick walks off of the rugby pitch until the end of the episode.
Okay, that's a moment.
We'll give you that.
It's a moment in television history.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Although, actually, I'm not going to lie, Imogen's face when she sees them walk off together, it does things for me.
Yeah.
But then after the conversation that Imogen has with Nick when he actually does come out to her in season 2 and she's like, it makes sense that you didn't like me because you were gay. And then the face crack when he's like, oh, I'm bi actually. And she's like, oh.
Yeah.
So you actually just don't like me.
I still disagree with your reading of that, but that's just me.
Oh no, I totally, that's how I read it immediately the first time I watched it.
Yeah. Of her being like, shit, that means it was me.
But
then she's like, oh, but this is about Nick, and she corrects herself really quickly.
She does. Yeah, but I think the smile when they're walking off the rugby pitch is like partly that she's happy for him, but partly that like, that explains why he didn't want to go out with me.
Yeah.
Kind of a smile.
Okey-doke.
So for me, it was another tie between Sports Day, but like when he like stops mid rugby and starts jogging over to him, like, and grabs his hand, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
And the coming out scene with Sarah.
Yeah.
I also came out to my mother at the kitchen table, so it hit hard.
Yeah.
That's where the serious conversations happen.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it in the shower and you talk about it at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
That's the process.
Okay. So advice then for the last episode.
I'm going to go first because yours is going to launch me into a spiel. Mine is selfishly for Tao and Elle to just lean into their feelings and go for it because they're like cliffhanger. I'm like, just kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this is the only one where Ashley and I like coordinated. So my advice is to Nick. You go to the beach, bring some flip-flops.
Oh, God, yes. Thank you.
This is kind of a running joke. It's mainly Ashley's joke. I literally texted her and I was like, hey, I'm 98% sure this is your advice for boyfriend. So I'm just verifying.
Brilliant.
Are you going to talk about Nick's sneakers? And she was like, actually, no. And I was like, cool, well, I'm gonna.
This is my one problem with season 1. Why did you run into the ocean with your socks and shoes on?
Yeah.
No, sir. And I bring it up like almost every episode. I'm like, he took a train. By the time he gets home.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Throw
also,
the shoes.
Yeah, that scene when they're going to the beach and he's like, not telling Charlie where they're going. And he keeps his eyes covered like the whole way from the train station all the way down the street. That's just unsafe.
Do they not announce the stations?
They do.
This is the other thing.
We were saying this, like, surely it would be the end of the line as well, so they would know from when they got on the train where the train was heading. But anyway, storytelling. And
he packed a whole backpack with towels. Like, throw some sandals in there. It's not that hard.
Yes. It was upsetting that he ran into the sea with shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to show you my heart. And I went like, same as episode 3, full heart, glowing, shiny. Like, yeah, it was just, it's a great episode. And it made me very happy. And I was beaming for about a week after I finished it.
Yes. Yeah. So good.
So I suppose I'm going to have to give that a 5++++++ as well.
Yes.
I have also given episode 8 exactly the same as I gave episode 3, 100,000. A modest 100,000. Yeah, out of 5, obviously.
Nice. We did a poll on what was your favorite episode of season 1? And I thought for sure it was going to be like a close race between Kiss and Boyfriend.
Yeah.
But it was actually a close race between Kiss and Girls.
Right.
Oh.
I was like, this is a shocker.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same way. Like, Kiss and Boyfriend are like
top,
like the episodes of season 1, you know? So
yeah. They just have those standout highs, don't they?
Because Girls is like my second least favorite. So I'm like, really? Girls? But I like them all, but like, you know, if you're ranking really good things, something has to be number 1 and something has to be number 10. So I feel like there are certain things in Girls that I just wish had more time to like fully like breathe and develop.
Yeah.
It just feels kind of like it's quick and it's happening, and I wanted to like live in it a bit more and give it the weight it deserved.
I think that's been a lot of our conversation, not going into too much detail about season 2, but I think that's been a lot of our conversation about that season, was that there's just so much plot and it just doesn't have the same kind of space to explore some of the things that season 1 did. And so obviously it's fab in some ways because you introduce more characters and more diversity and more issues to tackle, but some of them just missed the mark a bit for me.
Yeah, we talked about that when we recorded Family, because I was like, I love Naomi and Felix. But it's mostly just on spec because we don't know a lot about them.
Yeah. And James, I find the same as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just, we just don't get the time to get to know them properly, do we? And we're like,
Yeah.
I could love this person, but do I know that I love them?
Which I feel like is like the blessing and curse of them knowing that they have seasons 2 and 3, because like they and like I'm assuming it's going to pay off really well, but like they're already, you know, having like the comics knowledge. I'm like, oh, they're already planting this. They're already planting this. They're already planting this. And I'm like, that's awesome. And I'm very excited. But also I want to live with these characters more because I want to love you, but there's not enough to love.
Yeah. I think we will see more. Like, I think they're going to get further developed in season 3. Alice did that Q&A recently on Discord, and one of the questions was like asking about the writing processes, and they were saying like it was so much not easier to write season 2, but like less pressure because they knew that they didn't have to wrap stuff up. They could stretch it because of season 3. And so I think that a lot of these little things are gonna like bloom in season 3. But I love season 2. I think for me, I like season 2 more than season 1. But a lot of my favorite moments from the comics are in this stretch of the story. And so a lot of the things that I was looking forward to were given to me in this season. And so I think that like sways my feelings on it a bit more. I'm a little biased.
That must give a different reading of it, mustn't it? When you're sort of expecting something that you've visualized in your head and that you've already had a chance to process, and then to get it kind of in full realized glory in front of you.
Exactly. And like I was really worried with like that it would lose like some of its sugary sweetness because of the more mature content that we're getting in this season. But I think that, I mean, Alice managed to like perfectly balance the lighthearted nature of the show while also incorporating those heavier themes and more mature content. And I feel like it was able to like balance it just perfectly.
Well, that's a real strength of Alice's, like in her novels as well as in like in the comic and in the show. Alice does a really good job of balancing like heavier moments with appropriate levity. Like it's not like a whiplash like tonal shift. It feels very grounded in reality, and it feels very appropriate every time there's kind of like a comic relief moment to kind of let go of some of the tension from some of the more intense stuff. And that's true from Solitaire, I think, and through all of their writing.
Like the hanky panky in season 2 episode.
The hanky panky. Which, God, just sounds better with an English accent than it does in American.
It really
does. It doesn't sound good in it. It's just like, oh dear. I don't know anyone that says it. It's just
but there's just something about the like consonants that with like English accents just works a lot better. Like it just works better. I acknowledge it's something no one says. It's something that cringy dads say, which is why it's perfect for Julio. But just Kate saying it, I was like, God, it does. It just sounds better. I'm like, because when Tori says it, it's great. But everything Tori does is great. So.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
True. She's the best character.
Oh, hot take. There's so many good characters.
No, there is. I love her,
but she's great.
Yeah. It's but like, to be fair, so I've been rewatching Grey's Anatomy, and I say, oh, this character is the best character, like, and it's a different character every time. It just kind of like happens with ensemble casts. Like, it depends on like the weather, my mood, what I ate for dinner, all these different things. Who's the best character? So
I know, like 30 minutes ago, you said Isaac was the best. So
exactly. Right. Although actually, on Grey's Anatomy, I have narrowed down who the best character is, but that's because I just rewatched seasons 1 through 12, and I'm still going. So
that's a big
many seasons.
Oh, how do you guys feel about like the amount of seasons that you'd like there to be for Heartstopper? Because I've heard people online being like, we want more, it has to go on forever. And some people being like, no, because there's a limit. They're going to like leave school at some point, and that's the setting, and it has to wrap in some way. And we've not read ahead in the comics. So as people who have read ahead, what do you think? How many seasons?
I want them to have however many seasons it takes for Alice to complete it. I don't want them to expand it further. I think it'll lose some of its magic. She already knows how she wants it to end. She has a timeline. And originally she had said it would take 4 seasons. So I think 4 is good. 5 if she needs it, but don't stretch it just to have more show.
For the sake of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I am someone who really loves TV. I thought I was going to do that as a job for a while, obviously. I feel like shows need to be able to end on their own terms.
Yeah.
Like, as viewers, it's really exciting for a show to get renewed again and again and again, 7, 8, 10, 20 seasons. But, and especially because I've just been rewatching Grey's Anatomy, I'm like in this like right now and thinking about it a lot. Like, when a show is like conceived, there's normally the showrunners have an idea of like, this is the arc of the story. And it's usually like 3-5 seasons, somewhere in there, maybe a little longer. And you can tell when the writers have like expanded past that and when they're trying to figure out new stuff. And it's like, this is a contained story. I want them to tell that story. And I'm like, if after they tell this story, they want to do a solitaire spinoff,
I would love that.
My only problem with that is Jenny Welser is 28 years old. I feel like by the time they finished this and were able to, she would be way too old to believably be playing a 16-year-old.
I don't know. I still sometimes get ID'd and I'm 32, so that's fair. We've got time.
It all depends on a variety of factors, but if they wanted to do like a short film or like a film or like a mini thing of Nick and Charlie, it would tear my heart out, but they could do that. Like, there are other stories with Nick and Charlie that can be told, but I think, we need to tell the story that we're telling and let that live and be its own thing. Alice has said 4 seasons, but having read the comics, knowing what's still there, I think we're looking at 5.
I think it might be 5,
Even having not read the comics, with the amount of new characters and new storylines they've planted in season 2, I think they're going to need longer than 2 more seasons to fully do everyone's stories justice. But more than that, and it would probably feel like they were dragging it out.
And I do think Alice has mentioned that both Nick and Charlie and This Winter will be rolled into the show.
Oh,
okay.
So
in that case, they're definitely going to need a little bit longer.
They might need. Oh wow. Okay.
So
I want it to be as long as it's going to be to tell the story.
Okay. So what we're saying is the whole cast need to make sure they're wearing sun cream.
Yes.
So that they can remain as youthful as possible for as long as possible. Lots of water, lots of sun cream, please, and thank you.
Absolutely.
And Kit maybe needs to lay off the weight.
Gym a little bit. Like,
just a little bit. Just a bit.
Just slightly.
And Joe, too, because Joe's about to be in fucking Marvel.
I've noticed his arms. His arms have gotten real toned.
The character that he's probably playing is, like, on the leaner side to begin with, but, like, he's still going to go through Marvel boot camp.
Right, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for hanging out with us and talking.
It's been so much fun.
I feel like we should do this again sometime. Maybe to do a get each other's season 2 answers once we've finished our season 2 coverage.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we'll have more school questions that will come up.
I know, we did a season 1, like, British school / rugby with our friend of ours, Georgie, who plays rugby, British and plays rugby
in the UK. So
it just like happened to work out.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's more things that we now need. And Ashley was like, yeah, I've been talking to Kate and David. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm sure we'll have more come season 3, just as things come up. Because
glad our British school experience was useful. It's been lovely to get your perspective as well.
It has
really
been really
interesting to see how much we agreed on. And how much there are these universal themes that are just like relatable to everyone, whether you understand the British school system or not. It's just
good storytelling, fantastic acting. It's just, what more do you need?
It's everything.
So where can everybody find y'all?
So if you want to find us, we are on Instagram at Heartstopper Fan Podcast. You can also email us at heartstopperfanpodcast@gmail.com, and you will be able to find us on Spotify to listen to our podcast.
Yay.
All right, well, I think that just about wraps us up for this week. And of course, this is a bi-weekly podcast by two bisexuals, and we will be back in 2 weeks for Season 2, Episode 4, Challenge.
If you want to follow us online, we are at Why Are We Cast on all platforms. And if you like this, please consider rating and reviewing, as it will help other people find us.
And until next time, bye.
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 Bye.